Let me get to my brother in broadcast. It is the one and only Ricky Mathews, a SuperTalk host of the Ricky Mathews Show and also of SuperTalk Outdoors. Good morning, Ricky. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Paul. How are you doing this morning, my friend?
Good. Loud and clear. I played a little Jimmy Buffett for you just since we're making our trip to the coast here.
Yeah.
First of all, there was a lot of things to talk about. I wanted to get the as a matter of fact, I had a couple of calls yesterday on this one, the Leonard Bentz thing. So is that a dead deal now? Everything's over with that?
Yes. The governor never actually sent anything over to the Senate to be confirmed. So the appointment of Leonard Bentz for the second term, which was not confirmed, is that the whole saga is over. Mm-hmm. And, not relitigating it, but it was a noisy 2 years that ended with the baiting violation. And, it's time to move forward. It's going to be a great opportunity for the governor. I think the governor and his staff have learned a lot about the concerns that people generally have about what's happening on the commission. I think that they're more focused on that today, and will be very interesting. I've urged them publicly to take their time in naming the next commissioner. Listen to outdoorsmen and women who the governor respects. Get special interests out of the process and move forward in a way that really begins to respond to our moral obligations to protect Mississippi's wildlife legacy. I'm excited about the future.
You don't know, this board is not going to be one that's reconstituted, as far as you know, with the bill that passed?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you, Paul. I'm actually curious about that. Yeah.
It should, I guess it's listed in the bill, but everything's got code numbers, so, and they pared that down. It was like most of the boards with only 3 exceptions, and then by the time it passed and there were some problems with it through amendments, they came down with, I'm not sure how many boards ultimately was in the final ones, but I've tried to find out exactly which ones they are, and I can't. So you don't know one way or the other if that board is part of it then.
No, but look, here's Bill Coster, who's the current chairman. He'll be cycling off at the end of June. And so essentially the governor will have two opportunities to replace people. And then that leaves on the commission Billy Munger, Gary Rhodes, and Scott Coopwood, who's the incoming chairman. And I think those 3 men with 2 new appointments can really begin to get leadership and focus back to the kind of things we need to be talking about. And I think the noise is going to be diminished dramatically. I'm excited about the future of the commission. And I really am excited about the role that SuperTalk across the board played in helping bring, focus on the public trust that is wildlife in Mississippi.
Yeah. I don't want to beat a dead horse on this one, but just to go back to Senate Bill 2799 that reconstitutes these boards, if you were looking at it, Ricky, would you have concerns that if it's a 6-member board, every 4 years, the executive director of wildlife is up for renewal? He can be replaced if it's another governor or from a different party or a new governor since the other was term limited. And not only in that 4 years that executive director's job is at risk, but the board members are all 4 of the 6 are gone. And the governor's got to be appointing those, so he'll have the say-so. You think that's going to add stability to the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries?
No, I think it would. I really think it would not be a good thing at all. I can give you arguments both ways. That sometimes you need change. And a new governor provides an opportunity for fresh eyes. But I've heard you talk about this as well. But something like the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks is this complex organization that has biology and hunting regulations and fishing regulations, and then the park side of it. There's a lot to learn. It usually takes a commissioner a good year before they really find their feet underneath them. And that's just that they're really committed to doing a great job. The thought that institutional knowledge could turn over so rapidly and anything could be injected into the process. I think one of the issues we faced at the commission for many years has been the influence of special interests. And I think we've got to be focused on that, and the opportunity for that to re-enter into the conversation on a pretty regular basis is kind of scary to me.
Yeah, I could say the very same thing about the complexity of putting new people in there and not even knowing where the bathrooms are before they're out again, about the lottery board or the Department of Health or the Department of Mental Health and any of the other boards that happen to be on this on that sheet. So it's going to be interesting to see. And I think the governor has today decided, and I haven't seen anything in that one yet. So we'll see what happens.
Is IHL included in that?
No, IHL was one of the first ones that's out because
that's what I thought. Just wanted to.
Yeah, one of the way it's coded or something that's in the Constitution that was protected. So that was one of the few that were not going to be included, and it could not because of statute. But you put that into this one, and let me read this one for you and let you decipher this one. This was on Brandon Presley's Facebook page. Well, that does it. The derailment of the first real Medicaid expansion negotiations due to pettiness and the need to win, regardless of the lack of care for working poor people, and this is the last straw for me. The last 2 weeks have shown us clearly that save our state, we'd better get to work. If we are, I'm all in. I am all in. This morning, I'm committing to donate $50,000 on Monday. This was a couple of days ago, several days, to establish the Save Our State Political Action Committee, the SOS PAC, starting this summer. Going to be engaging citizens across Mississippi and every type of race for local and state office in Mississippi. So watch. We're going to be investing in towns from Walnut to the Tennessee line to Waveland to the beautiful coast. The SOS PAC board share common values. As my wife Caitlin said early this morning, or the next morning after we lost the governor's race, we may have been a few votes short, but we aren't quitting. So buckle up. Caitlin and I are rested up. Let the wounds of the defeat heal. Spent some quality time with the man upstairs, mended some fences with folks, and are ready to stand with you to save our state. So what does that sound like to you?
It sounds like Brandon Presley is not going anywhere and that he takes his opportunity to lead in public service very seriously. He ran a great campaign, and obviously he came short, but I don't think anyone should take their eyes off of Brandon Presley. Yeah. But let's come back to the point that he's making about Medicaid expansion. I'll say this, as a former publisher, I really appreciate the process. The democratic process sometimes is hard to watch, the legislative process for sure. But the reality is that oftentimes great things don't happen the first time we talk about them, the first time the legislature debates about them. It's not look at the Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund that's doing extremely well today. It took 2 years to get that across the finish line. And I think what we saw as more people learned about Medicaid expansion and kind of stopped looking at it through a political spectrum or lens and began to look at it through sort of this moral lens and the role that it would play in helping sort of shore up hospitals, et cetera. The more, there was a great open debate and discussion around this. I'm disappointed that the conversation ended, but I don't think that this debate is over by any stretch of the imagination. I think we made a lot of progress. It's tough to watch these situations, but it doesn't always happen the first time, and I can understand why people are mightily frustrated by that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this, Ricky, a lot of people are saying that, wait a minute, is Jason White too liberal in this? But I think it's a change of the GOP over the years, because I can kind of attach this in the same department as the previous speaker, Philip Gunn. When Philip Gunn made that mention about the Confederate flag, people gasp on that. What are you doing? And you can see where we are now. And I think it's kind of in the same category where Jason said, all right, let's take a look at this Medicaid. Let's find a bill that works. Listen,
I think, Paul, you make a really...
Yeah.
Let me just say,
let's talk more about that. We got a wide area. All right, you were talking about Medicaid, and continue, sir.
Well, we were talking about Speaker Jason White and whether people said that he may be too liberal, but I think it matters as leaders. We are who we are is the collection of our experiences and where we come from. And in his case, he's a speaker who comes from a rural area of Mississippi. 51% of Mississippians live in rural areas. He knows firsthand, he's seen with his own eyes the relationship between the poor folks in Mississippi and those who go to bed hungry at night and those who don't eat well because they're food insecure, and the impact it's had on health and health care, and all these things are wrapped up together. And he saw as a potential solution to not say no to $1 billion a year that could shore up the kind of health care that happens, especially in rural areas of Mississippi, but not just rural areas of Mississippi. And he thought it was important to not, instead of just shutting those conversations down, let's have the debate. And I think we moved the conversation dramatically forward. That's my read. And, I think, the role that you played, the role that Gerard played, the role that SuperTalk News played, I think SuperTalk played a really terrific role in bringing, what I would say, convening the important conversations around that issue. And we got a better understanding of where Jason White was coming from. We got a better understanding where Delbert Hoseman was coming from. And we saw more people willing to have that conversation. And that's a really good thing for Mississippi.
Yeah. If you're trying to use the playbook and follow this, well before the session, even during the latter part of the last session, into the summer, all through the summer, you would bet, okay, the best bet to get this done is going to be in the Senate, not in the House. It'll never go in the House. Then all of a sudden, if you're a political aficionado, you're placing your bets on that. Then it just totally reversed. But in all the homage to the good people of the Senate, I think they're also, many of them there that wanted this. They just wanted it in a manner that a lot of other people wanted it, and that's, if you're going to take this, if you're going to do that, if you're going to be paid by all the people out there who are working and who do have a private health insurance or whatever they happen to have and are paying for it, then if you can work, you should work. And I got to tell you, I think a lot of people in Mississippi signed on to that. And before you say this is going to hurt the political career in 4 years of the lieutenant governor, if he should run for governor, I think it might be a little soon to say that, because I think a lot of people are of that accord that if you're able-bodied, you should work. So I'm not sure how many, but I think there's a pretty good group of people out there who think that. Your thoughts?
Well, Paul, I think that the political ramifications of what you're saying with the work requirement, it makes sense. And I don't know that we can overcome that hurdle and get to what we learned during this debate. And I think that Dr. Justin Gentry did a great job of practically communicating about the impact on healthcare. But he said, people, uninsured folks in Mississippi are still getting, they don't have insurance, they're still getting care, but they're getting it in the most, expensive and inefficient manner possible. And as a result, it's not like we're writing a check to poor people or unemployed people. What we're doing is we're propping up the healthcare system that is having to sort of fund those efforts now. And as a result of that, hospitals are struggling. We get a better picture of the whole situation. Now, politically, how would we do it? Let me tell you what I wish we'd have done over the summer, and it's not too late to do it. I've said it many times. I said it on your show before. A Katrina-like effort around healthcare in Mississippi, led by Governor Reeves, and understand how all these pieces fit together. Bring the stakeholders to the table and begin to talk about it. He may still be very opposed to Medicaid expansion, but at the same time, we would understand how it fits into the bigger picture of how do we improve healthcare in Mississippi, and not just look at healthcare, but look at food insecurities and the impact on health in Mississippi. I mean, I think it's that kind of an effort. I think we've learned a lot more about the current situation through this debate. And we have an opportunity to still go on. It's not over. The issue hasn't resolved itself. We still have a problem with struggling hospitals and unhealthy people. It hurts me to think that the number of amputations in Mississippi, leading the country in all those things are not good.
We need to continue this conversation at another time and do this again. I wish we had more time. Ricky, thank you, man. Appreciate it very, very much.
It's been a pleasure, my friend.
You got it.